Let's take a look at our activity monitor application and how we capture transactions and the type of data that you'll be able to see. Now, starting here with our analytics page, we can see a quick overview of the transactions being processed based on the application. We can see the volume based on the number of transactions on specific dates. So it just gives you a quick indication of where most of your transactions are happening, and we can go into further detail by user when we go back into our detailed reporting. So there's a couple ways we can do that. If I go to Activity Monitor and launch the monitor, now I can separate from Portal versus Smart Office and Add-in. So basically any transaction being done by an AGS call will pick up. So if I wanted to see, I don't have any activity today, but if I want to go back and look at all activity from 1/26, now I could specify a particular user if I wanted to, but I'll just refresh this. And so we're always going to give you, based on today's date being active, the most recent activity descending order. So I can see who's actually logged into the system now. Now in this case I haven't logged in since 10/12, but what I can see is the user ID, the number of transactions they processed, the last form they worked on, and if I expand out based on the transactions, I'll know the different forms they worked on and the number of transactions on each form. So if I wanted to see the number of purchase order entry transactions, I can see there were 4 here, and I can see it was just doing inquiries against those 4 transactions. If I went to journal entries, I might have more detail. In this case, these are also inquiries. But I'll know the function code initiated, and I'll know the transaction that was being worked on. Now I can easily do that by user. So if I'm trying to track activity by a user, I just put in the user ID. And again, if I'm trying to get a particular date, that's easy to do too. Now we give you a little bit more robust option on how you can pull this data out back in our LS reporting. So we made this part of our reporting grid for security because it's got some advantages on how we can do filtering and grouping. So I'm going to start over here on the right, and I'm just going to look at user form detail. Now there's different ways we can use this data, but in the detailed version we're going to capture everything running through Lawson. There's no rules that you need to set up. There are retention policies on when you want to maybe purge this data, but in this case maybe I just want to see for all users, all forms, all dates. I'm going to go ahead and run this report, and we'll pull back all the activity into this grid. Now I'll hide a couple columns here. Let me just hide the product line, see some more data on the screen. And now I can see the transactions processed by any individual user. If I want to see the number of transactions for a user, I can group by user and see F. Nelson has processed 175 transactions. So now let's take a look at how I can maybe look at this by form. So if I group this up by form, now I can see the number of transactions that have been processed, and if I were to want to focus in on a particular form, I can go to like my HR11, and I'll see the number of transactions processed on HR11. Now you see we're also doing function codes of inquiry, next, previous. So any inquiries within the application are going to be picked up by us as well. And what we're going to get here is the key to the record. So you'll know who is looking at any particular employee record, the date and the time when they did it, and again the function code that was initiated. I can also just focus on maybe just changes. So if I want to know only changes to HR11, I can see those here. Now we're not giving you all the detailed data behind this as an audit. That's part of our transaction auditing solution. But in this one, for Activity Monitor, we'll at least give you an idea of what records were worked on. You can also do what are called cross-key searches. So if I wanted to look at everything that happened for a particular vendor 118, what I might find is that the vendor ID 118 for the vendor master is actually key, I believe key 3 for AP10, but for AP20 for the invoice it ends up being key 1. So if I want to see all the activity on a particular type of key, it could be a customer ID, a vendor ID, a journal number, I can search that and come back and look at all the activity. So this is the type of information we're providing, and again you get a number of different options on search criteria. You can export this data to a PDF or Excel, and of course you can schedule reports to run automatically. So if you want to know any information based on a specific current date on a specific form, you can run that report and have it emailed off to you. But that's how we're reporting on Activity Monitor information in the Lawson application. If you'd like more information on our products and services, please give us a call.